I mapped out the path to digital ID. So it is always an incremental step, right? Like boiling the frog in water. It's little incremental steps that they hope you don't notice until it's too late and the trap is already set. So it all started back in 2004, actually, with the 9/11 Commission recommending federalized standards for state identification. Then in 2005, we have the Real ID Act. So this sets in motion the Department of Homeland Security to federalize security standards for state IDs. Typical ID stuff, with the exception that it includes machine-readable technology. It prevents owning an ID from more than one state. It digitizes your facial photo, and it requires data retention. So this is the start of a national database of IDs. That's the goal. This is legislation that was snuck into a emergency federal funding bill. That means it had no hearings, right? This was just snuck into one of those big bills and then passed. From there, we head over to 2011. The National Strategy for Trusted Identities in Cyberspace. This was signed by Obama. This was a federal plan to secure digital identity across government and private use. It's basically your blueprint for online ID systems. Then in 2015, we have a private sector nonprofit, the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators. They create a state-to-state verification service. So it's basically your national database of IDs. They ensure that it's just one real ID credential per person, but this is a private nonprofit, public-private partnership. We have no public right to know what they are doing with our data because they are a private NGO. Between 2016 and 2024, we see the DHS implement biometric expansion. With HART, is the Homeland Advanced Recognition Technology. This creates a shared biometric backbone database. Your biometrics, your facial scan, your iris, your fingerprint data of hundreds of millions. Now, if you went to the airport and you wanted to get into that, quick TSA line, the clear pass or whatever, I remember being pulled out of line and say, hey, do you want to sign up for this? And they'd take you up to a computer and like, okay, put your eyeball there so I could do an iris scan. I said, hell no, and I walked away. But that's what they're starting to do, is collecting your iris scan voluntarily so that you have more convenience of getting through a line quicker. Then we head over to here, 2020. This is the Real ID Modernization Act. Okay, they just updated the 2005 Act to include a definition for ID that includes mobile driver's licenses and digital IDs. Heading on over here to 2021, we have the International Organization of Standardizations. They are creating a global standard for digital IDs. So your digital ID can be on your smartphone. The Real ID essentially moves from a physical card to a digital card, but it's an international organization of standards. So we're building the global infrastructure for digital IDs here. From 2023 to 2025, we have the TSA Facial Recognition Program. They implement Cat2 technology that allows for facial recognition scans. It's a nationwide rollout of federal facial verification infrastructure. Along the same time frame, the Global Digital Health Network is created by the WHO and the European Commission. It's a global verification of health certifications. Okay, again, another framework, another infrastructure being built at a global level dealing with health certifications. Then the G20 issues a declaration calling for a digital public infrastructure. This would include IDs, payments, and data exchange globally. Again, we're building the system, we're building the rails, not only nationally, but internationally. The US National Health Info Framework. It's the Trusted Exchange Framework and Common Agreement. That's what it's called. It's essentially a national framework linking all of our electronic health records. Again, these are all the systems and the infrastructure being built. Over here, we have ongoing. This is still continuing to go on right now. We have talk of the CBDCs, your central banking digital currencies. This would be programmable money. When I've talked about, they can shut off your payments for this or that or allot you only so much, this is how they do it, through the programmable CBDC. This is how they control your spending, what you can buy, what you can sell. We have the Know Your Customer laws. These came from the Patriot Act of 2001. It's the Financial Institution Identity Standards. The KYC, that's the bridge between the government identity standards, your Real ID, and the private financial system. This is now how we're connecting all these dots under digital ID. So the banks could demand digital ID only standards. And now you have your financial information linked under your digital ID. The National and Global Infrastructure Framework is in place. It's here. It's already built. It just needs the connecting dots for everything to come together. Your identity, your biometrics, your health and medical records, your financial, government, civil records, your online activity, all orchestrated through public-private partnerships. All right, both nationally and globally. These public-private partnerships are just that. Your partnerships between government institutions and private corporations or private NGOs. These can be dangerous things. Case in point example of this, Palantir, old Peter Thiel, creepy Antichrist guy. So Palantir builds and manages software that connects the government databases. ICE, CBP, FBI, CDC, DOD, HHS. They visualize and analyze identities, relationships, and behaviors, and they apply AI and predictive analytics to find patterns. Palantir also managed the national vaccine distribution data of COVID-19. Now Palantir will be working with banks, healthcare systems, and insurers as well. They will be help connect all these dots and all these rail lines on this infrastructure. This will expand federal identity and data model into a corporate systems under the banner of compliance, security, and efficiency. There's a few corporations then that will have the ability to map and cross-reference every major database. The lines then are blurred between state surveillance and the private sector oligarchs. Their control over you is by circumventing the legislative process. They don't have to make laws when the private sector can control your ability to make choices. It's a lot more difficult for the government to come right out and make these laws controlling you, controlling what you can do, having this state surveillance. But when they have the public-private partnerships, and through those private entities, these corporations, they can control your behaviors, they control how you purchase things, they control what you do. It doesn't have to be a law. Now it's hitting you right in the pocketbook where you're a consumer, where you buy and sell and do all sorts of things. That's how they'll control you, by circumventing the legislative process. Because who are these oligarchs? These oligarchs, these billionaires, are all the ones who are donating the money for all the election campaigns. And so who do our representatives, our senators, our president, our administrations actually serve? They don't serve you and I. They serve the billionaires that funded their campaign to get them into power. That is who they serve. And now they partner with those same people who have all the power and control in their large corporations with very little competition. And that was how they secure the net around you and control you through digital IDs.